The Queen of Gist. Part 1. The day Moyo realized her own words had grown teeth and bitten her, she was standing at the compound tap, watching a stranger wear her crown. But let me take you back. See, compound was not small. It stretched like a long arm with rooms facing each other across a narrow passage. One shared tap. One toilet with a broken lock. One generator that only worked when people started shouting. And one woman who knew everything about everyone. Her name was Moyo. Every morning before the sun woke up properly, Moyo was already awake. Not because she loved hard work. No, but because news does not sleep. She would tie her wrapper tight, wear her noisy slippers, and march to the tap like a queen going to her throne. As soon as she arrived, doors would open. People would come out. Not for water alone, but for what Moyo had to say. Good morning, Moyo. Mama Kudi would greet with a big smile. Good morning, Moyo would reply, clearing her throat like someone about to preach. By the time water started running, stories had already started flowing. Have you heard? Moyo would say softly, as if she was just mentioning the weather. Heard what? Blessing, the young girl from room 6, would ask eagerly. Moyo would lean closer, even though everyone was already listening. That man in room 2, Uncle Cola, he did not go to work yesterday. So? Blessing would ask. So? Moyo would repeat with wide eyes. That is how it starts. Mama Kudi would shake her head. I always knew that man likes staying home too much. Exactly, Moyo would nod hard. And his wife went to market very early. Very early. You don't mean it. Blessing's eyes would grow big. I didn't say anything, Moyo would reply quickly. I'm just observing. That was Moyo's favorite line. I'm just observing. By the time buckets were full, everyone already knew Uncle Cola was either cheating, jobless, or hiding something bad. If a child cried too much in that compound, Moyo knew why. If someone cooked stew with too much pepper, Moyo knew the reason. If lights blinked twice, Moyo could tie it to somebody's destiny. Her husband, Scholar, hated it. Every morning as she picked her bucket, he would warn her. Moyo, please don't start today. Start what? Moyo would ask innocently. Your radio station. Moyo would laugh loud. I'm just talking. Scholar would sigh. Your talking causes trouble. But Moyo would wave her hand and say, if people don't want their matter outside, they should behave. That sentence was her law. One afternoon, rain fell heavy and power went out. The generator refused to start. Boredom entered the compound like a thief. But that was when Moyo truly shined. She sat on the bench near the corridor and began. Do you people notice that Mama Kudi locked her door early yesterday? Mama Kudi jumped up. Why are you watching my door? I am not watching, Moyo replied calmly. I just notice things. Blessing giggled. Moyo notices everything. Yes, Moyo said proudly. That is my gift. Scholar walked past and shook his head. One day your gift will return. Return where? Moyo laughed. To the sender. The compound laughed with her. They enjoyed her gift. Until one evening when a moving van stopped outside. Everyone came out. Curious. Who is moving? Someone asked. A new tenant, Mama Kudi said. Which room? Moyo stood up immediately. Her radar activated. Room 9. That one that has been empty since. The door opened. A woman stepped down. She was calm. Quiet. She greeted them all. Good evening. Good evening, they replied. Moyo studied her carefully from head to toe. New people always came with stories. What is your name? Moyo asked boldly. Zainab, the woman replied with a small smile. Where are you coming from? Moyo asked again. Zainab smiled again. From where I was before. Everyone laughed. Moyo frowned slightly. That did not answer the question. Zainab ignored her, picked up her bag, and walked into her room quietly. Moyo watched her go and said, Quiet people have the loudest secrets. Scholar grabbed her arm. Please don't start. Moyo smiled. I'm just observing. Unknown to Zainab, she had entered a compound ruled by gossip, and her silence had already offended the queen. Normally, Zainab's silence should not be strange, but in that compound, silence was suspicious. If you did not talk, people assumed you were hiding something, and Moyo noticed immediately. From the second morning after Zainab moved in, Moyo started paying attention. Zainab woke up early, swept her area neatly, greeted everybody politely, and minded her business too well. She did not fight for water. She did not complain about the toilet. She did not shout at anybody's child. And worst of all, she did not ask questions. Moyo did not like that. At the tap that morning, Moyo arrived with her usual confidence. "Good morning," Blessing said. "Good morning," Moyo replied. "Has our new tenant fetched water today?" Blessing nodded. "Yes, she came earlier." Moyo raised her eyebrows. "So she has started waking up early like an old tenant." Before Blessing could respond, Zainab appeared, carrying an empty bucket. She greeted, "Good morning." "Good morning," Mama Kudi replied quickly. Moyo looked at her closely. "Hope you slept well." "Yes," Zainab replied with her usual smile. No complaints. No unnecessary explanation. Just yes. Moyo cleared her throat. "You didn't hear generator noise last night?" Zainab shook her head. "No." Moyo waited to hear more, but nothing else followed. "So you don't have a problem with the generator?" Blessing asked. Zainab smiled. "It works well." That was all. Moyo frowned slightly. This one is economical with words. Zainab smiled again and bent to fetch water. As she fetched, Moyo started her lecture. "You see this compound? Everyone here is like family. We talk to each other." Zainab nodded. "That is good." Moyo waited to hear more, but nothing else followed. She continued. "So we don't hide anything?" Zainab nodded again. "That is healthy." Moyo's mouth opened mid-sentence. "Healthy?" Blessing giggled nervously. Mama Kudi laughed. "This girl is so calm." "Yes," Moyo said slowly. "Very calm." From that day, Moyo decided to educate Zainab. But education in that compound did not involve books. It involved gist. One afternoon while Zainab was sweeping, Moyo sat close to her. "You know that Blessing in room 6? Moyo began casually. Zainab nodded. "She's young." Moyo leaned closer. "Exactly. Too young to be receiving visitors every night." Zainab stopped sweeping and looked at her. "Oh. That was it. Just oh." But Moyo ignored it and continued. "I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying we should watch her." Zainab nodded slowly. "That is kind." Moyo blinked. Another day, Moyo tried again. While they sat outside during a blackout one evening, she leaned toward Zainab. "You know Mama Kudi? She pretends as if she doesn't hear things." Zainab nodded. "She hears." Moyo smiled. "That is what I am saying." But Zainab did not say anything more. She didn't even nod. And Moyo felt strangely unsatisfied. Usually by now, the other person would have added pepper like, "She's wicked. She's pretending. She likes money too much." But Zainab only listened. Yet somehow, Moyo became comfortable. Very comfortable. After all, Zainab never interrupted. She never corrected. She never judged. She just listened. Like a sponge, sucking everything in. Her eyes stayed calm. Her face stayed neutral. And her mouth stayed quiet. So Moyo talked more. Soon, Zainab became Moyo's favorite audience. Moyo talked while Zainab cooked. Moyo talked while Zainab washed. Moyo talked while Zainab folded clothes. "You know that my husband is not talking to his brother again?" Moyo said one afternoon. Zainab paused. "No. It is because of land matter," Moyo said confidently. "Land brings out people's true color," Zainab said. Moyo nodded. "Yes, it does." Another time, she told Zainab, "You know that woman in room 4? That light-skinned one." Zainab nodded. "She borrowed money and hasn't returned it." "Oh," Zainab said. "She's even avoiding the lender," Moyo added. "Oh," Zainab said again. Moyo laughed. "It seems you are naturally very quiet." Zainab smiled. "I'm learning." That sentence settled strangely in Moyo's chest. But she ignored it. And then something strange started happening in the compound. People began repeating just differently. Blessing came one morning and said, "Moyo, is it true that Uncle Kola was chased from work?" Moyo frowned. "Who told you that?" Zainab said she heard it. Moyo laughed. "I didn't say chased. I said he stayed home." Blessing shrugged. That's how she explained it. Moyo waved her hand. People like exaggeration. Later that day, Mama Kudi casually mentioned, "They say Scholar and his brother are fighting seriously." Moyo froze. "Who said?" Mama Kudi shrugged. "People are saying it." Moyo laughed nervously. People talk too much. But that night, Scholar asked her, "Moyo, why is my office calling me to ask about my family problems?" Moyo's heart skipped. "Office? Who told them anything?" "They said it came from our compound." Moyo waved her hand. "Don't mind them. People exaggerate things." Scholar looked at her carefully. "Moyo, you talk too much." Moyo smiled. "I just talk small." The next day, Moyo was passing by when she saw Zainab at the center of a small gathering. She was not shouting or laughing loudly. She was simply talking. "And that is why it is good to be careful with people's matters," she said. People listened and nodded. Moyo stopped in her tracks. Zainab continued. "I heard that some people say Uncle Kola's wife is now the breadwinner. It is really sad." People gasped. Moyo's heart skipped. She walked closer. "Zainab, who told you that?" Zainab smiled. "I heard it around." "Around? Around where?" Moyo asked. Zainab tilted her head slightly. "Around here." Moyo laughed. "You people like stories." Zainab nodded. "Yes, I noticed too." That evening, Moyo heard something that made her sit down immediately. Blessing whispered to her, "They said you're the one spreading everything." Moyo laughed awkwardly. "Me? I'm just observing." Blessing hesitated. "But Zainab says that is how information flows here." Moyo frowned. "What exactly did she say?" Blessing replied innocently. She said, "I thought that was how we communicate here." That sentence echoed hard. Communicate. Moyo laughed it off. But that night, sleep avoided her. She replayed all their conversations. She remembered Zainab's nods, her silence, her calmness. Zainab had never argued, never denied, never added lies. She had simply carried the words forward. The next morning, Moyo watched Zainab closely as she swept. She approached her. "You are very quiet," Moyo said. Zainab smiled. "I only listen." Moyo laughed awkwardly. "Listening too much can be dangerous." Zainab looked up and smiled. "So can talking." For the first time since Zainab arrived, Moyo felt uneasy. And then she confirmed it on a Wednesday morning at the tap. Normally, once she arrived, buckets would gather around her like an audience. Faces would turn to her. Somebody would ask, "Moyo, what's the latest?" But that morning, people were already talking before she even reached. They were not just talking. They were listening. Zainab was standing near the tap. Her bucket was already full. But she was talking clearly. "I'm not saying it is true. I'm just repeating what people are already saying," she said. Moyo stopped walking and stretched her ears. "What are they saying?" Blessing asked eagerly. Zainab shrugged lightly. "They said that some people talk about others too much." Everyone laughed. Moyo stepped closer and asked loudly, "Who said that?" Everyone turned to her. Zainab smiled. That same small, respectful smile. "Good morning, Moyo." Good morning, Moyo replied stiffly. What were you saying? Zainab tilted her head. Nothing serious. Just observation. Moyo's chest tightened. Observation. That was her line. She stood there awkwardly for a moment, then laughed nervously. You people like gist too much. But nobody laughed with her. Later that afternoon, Moyo heard laughter from near Mama Kudi's room. She followed the sound. Curiosity led her like a rope. There she saw Zainab talking again. I heard that one woman knows everybody's business except her own, Zainab was saying calmly. Akan, the welder from room 5, laughed loudly. That one is powerful. Moyo stepped forward and asked sharply, Zainab, are you talking about me? Zainab looked genuinely surprised. Why would I do that? Because everybody is looking at me, Moyo said. Zainab raised her hand lightly. I didn't mention your name. The neighbors shifted uncomfortably. Mama Kudi cleared her throat. Let's not fight. But Moyo's voice rose. Then why are my words moving around without me? Zainab blinked slowly. Your words. Moyo froze. Yes. What do you mean? Zainab spoke carefully. I thought that was how things work here. You say something. People hear. People repeat. Moyo laughed nervously. You are twisting things. Zainab nodded. Maybe. That evening, the compound started buzzing like a disturbed beehive. Moyo said this. No, Zainab said that. But Moyo started it. The gist had multiplied, and it was no longer controlled. Then the real blow landed 2 days later. Scholar returned from work quietly. They ate in silence. Finally, he spoke. My boss asked me today if I was having problems at home. Moyo dropped her spoon in shock. Problems? What problems? Scholar looked at her carefully. They said you usually shout at me. That I am tired of marriage. Moyo stood up. Who said that? Scholar closed his eyes. They said it is common knowledge. Moyo's mouth went dry. She rushed outside immediately. People scattered as she came out, ending their conversations mid-sentence. She went straight to Zainab's room and knocked hard. Zainab. Zainab opened the door calmly. Yes. What are you telling people about me? Moyo asked. Zainab looked confused. About you? Yes, Moyo said. Zainab sighed softly. Moyo, I have only been repeating what I hear. Moyo laughed bitterly. And where do you hear it from? Zainab looked at her eyeball to eyeball this time and said, From you. Silence fell between them. Moyo breathed hard. You are doing this on purpose. Zainab shook her head gently. No, I am just communicating. Moyo's hands shook. You are enjoying this. Zainab shrugged. I'm just understanding it. That night, Moyo could not sleep. She replayed everything in her mind. And that was when she realized something painful. Zainab did not do anything new. She just learned from her. And upgraded the volume. She told the stories clearly and calmly. Without fear. And because she behaved reasonable, people believed her more. The next morning, Mama Kudi called Moyo aside. Moyo, come and sit. Moyo obeyed. You see, Mama continued, the mouth is like a generator. It is useful. But if you run it all day, it spoils. Moyo nodded slowly. I thought talking made me relevant. Mama smiled sadly. No, listening does. In the evening, Moyo overheard 2 women talking near the gate. That Moyo used to talk too much. But she has changed though. Let's just hope it lasts. Moyo paused and sighed deeply, but she did not step forward to defend herself. She just walked away. And behind her, the compound continued breathing. Zainab passed by quietly and said, Good night, Moyo. Moyo replied after a pause. Good night. And for the first time, the silence did not feel like punishment. It felt like learning. Days turned into weeks. Moyo no longer rushed to the tap. She fetched water quietly. She greeted people without adding commentary. She swept her area and minded her business. At first, people watched her suspiciously, waiting for her to break, waiting for her to start again. But she didn't. One morning, Blessing approached her nervously. "Moyo, are you okay?" Moyo smiled. "Yes, I'm just resting my mouth." Blessing looked relieved. "We were worried." Moyo nodded. "I know." Scholar noticed too. One evening, he sat beside her and said, "You have been quiet." Moyo looked at him. "Is that bad?" Scholar shook his head. "No, it is good. I'm just surprised." Moyo sighed. "I learned something." "What?" Scholar asked. Moyo looked at her hands. "That when words leave your mouth, they don't belong to you anymore. They may grow legs, grow volume, and sometimes they come back wearing someone else's voice." Scholar nodded slowly. "That is wisdom." Moyo smiled sadly. "It took Zainab to teach me." Scholar squeezed her hand. Then she was a good teacher. Weeks later, the compound had settled. Zainab was still quiet, still calm, still careful with words. Moyo was different too. She talked less, listened more, and when she spoke, people actually heard her, because she no longer wasted words. One afternoon, Zainab sat beside Moyo at the corridor. They sat in silence for a while. Then Zainab spoke. "I am sorry." Moyo turned to her, surprised. "For what?" "For hurting you," Zainab said softly. Moyo shook her head. "You didn't hurt me. You showed me." Zainab looked at her carefully. "Showed you what?" Moyo smiled. "That my gift was also my curse." Zainab nodded. "Every gift needs control." Moyo laughed softly. "You know, I hated you for a while." Zainab smiled. "I know. But now I understand," Moyo said. "You didn't take my crown. You just held up a mirror." Zainab looked down. "I came here broken. People talked about me where I lived before. I had no voice. So when I came here and saw how you controlled everything with words, I wanted that power." Moyo stared at her. "So you learned from me?" Zainab nodded. "Yes. But I also learned what not to do." They sat in silence again. Comfortable silence. Then Moyo said, "You know what is funny?" "What?" Zainab asked. "I thought I was the queen because I talked the most," Moyo said. "But real queens know when to be silent." Zainab smiled. "And when to speak?" Moyo nodded. "Yes. And when to speak." Months passed. The compound found balance. Moyo still talked. But now, people trusted her. Because she measured her words. She did not carry every story. She did not drop every secret. And when she said something, it mattered. Zainab remained her friend. A quiet friend. A listening friend. And together, they taught the compound something important. That words are powerful. But silence is wise. And the person who controls both is the one who truly leads. One evening, as the sun went down, Mama Kudi called everyone together. "I want to say something," she began. Everyone gathered. Curious. Mama Kudi looked at Moyo and Zainab. "This compound has learned something this year. We learned that our mouths can build or destroy. We learned that listening is just as important as talking. And we learned that every word we release into the air carries weight." People nodded. Mama Kudi continued. "So from today, let us be careful. Let us speak truth. Let us listen well. And let us remember that before we talk about someone, we should ask ourselves, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary?" The compound clapped. Moyo felt tears in her eyes. Not because she was sad, but because she finally understood. She had spent years being the voice of the compound, but she had never truly listened. Now, she knew better. As people scattered, Scholar came and hugged her. "I am proud of you," he whispered. Moyo smiled. "I am proud of me too." That night, as she lay in bed, Moyo thought about everything. She thought about Zainab, about her silence, about her lessons, and she realized something deep. Sometimes, the people we think are taking from us are actually giving to us. Sometimes, the pain we feel is growth. And sometimes, losing our crown is the only way to find our true self. Moyo closed her eyes and smiled. For the first time in years, she slept peacefully, because she finally understood that the loudest voice in the room is not always the most powerful. Sometimes, the most powerful voice is the one that knows when to speak and when to stay silent. And that was the greatest lesson of all. The end.